Hey guys, this is Rod with Rock Jam Guitar. Today we're gonna be applying a little bit more of the scales that we learned the past lessons. Now, if you haven't had the chance to work on those scales, I'm gonna leave the link to those videos right below so you can take a look on them or do a quick review on them. All that we're gonna be doing here to get this started is to think about that A minor pentatonic scale. That friendly position that we tend to learn first on the fretboard. So it's that 5-8, 5-7, 5-7, 5-7, 5-8, 5-8. Super easy to memorize. Now, if you're extremely beginner guitar player, what I want to see you trying to do is getting into that position and try to create little licks with it. Now, I'm gonna give you 3 examples to get you started and a couple of ideas for you to think about it. For example, if I play 7 on the D, 5 on the G, and 7 on the G, back to the 5 on the G, and 7 on the D, I have a little passage there. Now when I play like that, it really tends to sound more like an exercise than anything else, right? So 2 little things that you can do to change that. First, don't play every single note with the same rhythm, otherwise it really tends to sound like an exercise. So let's say we can stay on that 5th fret of the G a little bit longer. And we can also add a couple of techniques here. For example, instead of just playing that 7 on the D, I can slide to it. And since I'm gonna hang on that 5th fret a little bit longer, maybe I can add a little vibrato there. Now, if you're not sure how to do those slides or vibratos or bends, hammer-ons and pull-offs, all of those techniques, feel free to send me a message. I'll be more than happy to send you some extra material there. Now, for the second one, let's start from the high E and play 8, 5, 8, 5 on the B. Then when we get to that 7 on the G, let's do a little bend there. We can bend up and down. Then 5th fret of the G, ending on the 7th fret of the D again. So we have. Now, the coolest idea about the little licks like that is that you can mix them up. I can play number 1 and jump to number 2. Let's do one more here for good luck. Let's go with 7 on the G, bend that one and play 5 on the B and then 5 on high E. That's a super cliche one. You hear that a lot in bluesy songs, rock songs, right? So then we have 3 now. For you to mix and match them and get this started. Now, keep in mind that you can also change the ending of them. Substitute that last note that we did with something else on the scale. And then you're gonna be extending those licks to pretty much play an entire solo just using 3 basic ideas here. Well, let's extend on this now. Let's make this even sound a little bit more interesting. So what we're using is an A minor pentatonic scale, right? And we learned those 5 shapes of the A minor, C major, the relatives there. How about if you want to apply an A major pentatonic scale? That's going to give you a different sound because it's going to be different notes. So keep that in mind. The same shapes that we learned for the A minor are going to be the same shapes for A major. They're just going to be in a different place of the fretboard. To make this super easy, I'm going to give you guys a little trick to help you guys to transport all of those scales that you have learned already to the major place. All that you have to do is get from that A minor and count 3 frets back and play the same shape, and that's gonna be an A major pentatonic scale. Now, of course, there is a little bit more of theory involved there, and if you're interested in learning that, feel free to contact me. But if you're not and you just want to play those shapes, then right off the bat you can get those little licks that we created and just apply them 3 frets back. So now you can go back and forth on those ideas. Now, just to extend this a little bit more, remember that when we were practicing those scales, right, we had that scale number 2 here, and then we had the same notes just organized in a different pattern over here, and then the same notes over here, right? So we had all those patterns that come one after the other. So when you move that minor shape to the major shape, all of those boxes are gonna move along, they're gonna move together. So technically what we can do here too is think that right after this shape, I have this shape here. So now they're gonna be one on the top of the other. So I can play an A minor pentatonic scale and an A major pentatonic scale, both around the same area of the fretboard, which makes this very, very interesting because now I don't need to think about minor and major, but I can think about them together. So I can mix them up. I can start with the minor, but then go to the major. And that will give me a very interesting sound. So you can use those licks that we were jamming on before and add that major variation then. And let me give you guys one little lick mixing them up. We can go 7th fret of the D, 5, hammer on to the 6 on the G, then we can go 5 on the B, 5 on the high E, 7 on the B string. So far I have back to the 5 on the high E, and then 8 on the B string with a bend. Then we can go 5 on the high E, 5 on the B, the same hammer on, 5 to 6, and then 7 on the D. So feel free to mix this up. Now what we're playing here is in the key of A. So we're playing the A minor pentatonic mixing with the A major pentatonic, but always remember that those shapes are movable. So let's say that what you're trying to do is in the key of C. Just take those 2 shapes to the 8th fret and you should be good to go. Now work on steps. If this is extremely new to you, go back to the older videos about scales and master the diatonic scales, the pentatonic scales, the bluesy scales, have the visual of those scales on the fretboard. Then you can come back to this video and mix the majors with the minors on the top of each other. Work on these little simple licks that we created, add your own variations, and then after that, start thinking about the notes that you're playing. Later on, we're gonna have a couple of more videos talking a little bit more about that, the notes that you're playing with the scales and the notes that belong to the chord progression. Hope you guys have enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you guys next time.